Miss Larson. Alright, so I'm up here today to talk about the things that I've learned throughout high school and be the upperclassman that I wish I had when I was younger. So for those that don't know, my name is Gus W. I've been a student here since 5th grade, and I left 7th grade and came back 8th grade. And because I've been in my fair share of schools, I can say with 100% honesty that St. Agnes is the friendliest school that I've ever been to or visited. I want to start with a personal story that kind of sets a mood for this speech. Now, only a handful of people actually know this about me, and it's something that's completely changed my life for the better, even though it might sound absolutely horrible at first, so hear me out. So when I left St. Agnes in 7th grade and went to another school, I did not join the right group of friends. I thought they were my friends, but in hindsight, they completely bullied me and I was completely oblivious. Even though I left the school after 1 year, I didn't connect the dots until 3 years later into my sophomore year that I had been bullied. Now this 1 year of school completely tainted my life for nearly 4 years after that. That 7th grade year left me with anxiety and depression like I had never felt before, and I have not felt that horrible about myself since. I would come home and cry at least once a week, daily at times, and I had no confidence whatsoever. Up until the beginning of junior year, I had such bad anxiety that I refused to even go out to eat with my family because I couldn't hold a fork, because my hands shook so bad. I had such fear that someone was making fun of me somewhere in a restaurant full of people that I didn't know. And by the way, this isn't a sob story, so if you feel a little bit uncomfortable, it's supposed to be motivating, so I'm sorry. That one junior high school year screwed me up so bad mentally that I had a hard time talking with anyone for years. I didn't have a goal to strive for, no vision for my future. Nothing that pushed me to become the best version of myself, to excel in all areas of my life. Now this rolls on into my freshman year of high school, and rolls literally like in a wheelchair. As I think back to freshman Gus, the kid who tried to punch someone from in a wheelchair, I think, what did that kid need to hear? I don't want to just leave these halls thinking it's over and move on to the rest of my life. No. I want to take what I've learned and humbly leave some words of advice for some of the other freshman Gus's out there. When high school started, I had surgery on both of my ankles freshman year, and the doctors put me in a wheelchair. Mr. Flood called me the 7-year-old grandma of the football team because I could hardly walk after our games. I still hadn't recovered from my 7th grade year, and I had a lot of anxiety and depression. So being put in a wheelchair with no physical activities for close to a year did not help whatsoever with that. I came home like every day and just laid in bed until it was time to sleep. And then just repeated it the next day. I was so unmotivated to do anything that I literally gained close to 40 pounds just sitting in a wheelchair. Again, I did not have something to drive me to change myself. Once the doctors cleared me to run and join sports again, I tried to get back into shape, and something drove me just a little bit. Except it wasn't a good drive that started it. Sports have been my whole life, and I mean that's all I did when I was a little kid. Yeah, I know it's cliche, but I think it's true. So when that was taken away from me because of injuries, I was angry beyond belief. I had never been an angry person at all, but once I was cleared to start up again, I just let it all out. My anger became my drive, and I felt as if someone had taken the biggest part of my life away from me, and I was going through withdrawals. I just wanted it back. That drove me to start becoming a better version of myself, which by no means am I the best version of myself. You will never stop growing as a person, but it was a start. I turned that anger I had into something productive to help me grow. In relation to schoolwork, I wasn't the greatest student ever. I mean, I used to be the absolute worst with procrastination. When I was younger, I was someone that would literally wake up at like 6 a.m. with PTSD in the middle of the summer because I was stressed out that I didn't finish some assignment on time. I mean, it sounds simple, but if you just set aside the feeling of yourself telling you to take a nap and start writing a couple sentences for a paper due in a week, you'll feel infinitely more confident that you finish it on time and be less stressed because you use your time well. I knew that there was a reason for reading Pride and Prejudice, and I respected the teachers for that, so I read it, or I spark noted it, basically. But I began to learn how to use my time wisely. Use the time that you are given, you will never have it back. One thing that I believe every kid in high school should do is join a sport. I wasn't this student that was motivated to do school for the sake of school. I needed something else to make me disciplined. and this is where the sports came in. For myself, football was one of the greatest influences I've had in my entire life, second only to my older brothers. With Coach Flood coaching me every day, not only on football, but how I should live my life, I've become a better person. Sports make you wake up earlier every day, to make a good breakfast, to go to school, to stay awake in all of your classes, to go to practice and then head home and finish your homework. The discipline I've learned through sports have taught me two very important truths: to feel your body and to feel your spirit. This discipline gives you more motivation and energy, and the power of your will drive you to accomplish your goals. One more thing you should have part of your day is to have other interests like hobbies. One thing that I've read is that a lot of successful people make time in their day to do a hobby. Whether it be video games or knitting or drawing, spend time on it and try to perfect your craft. It's crucial that you find time to relax. The discipline that I found in sports fueled my motivation and interests in other interests in life, and it's what makes you feel alive. The next step to start disciplining yourself is to stop listening to the weakest part of you and start listening to the power of your will. Everything in yourself will tell you not to finish that homework because it's boring, or to not go lift because you're so tired, or you've worked enough that day and that you'll do whatever tomorrow. You need to stop yourself from hitting the snooze button every morning. Little habits become character flaws, and those character flaws will begin to dictate your actions. Why not change those habits into good habits? My little brother Vaughn, for example, is insane. There's a solid 4 days a week where he wakes up at 5:30 a.m. to go for a run, and then after school he has track or cross country and is still keeping up with everyone. His work ethic for running is nuts, and he gets to sleep by like 8 p.m., which makes me really jealous. However, Mr. Sexton's always telling me how his schoolwork could use some improvement, but he's only a sophomore, so. Now, remember the kid who would go home depressed and anxious? The biggest lesson that kid needed to learn was the power of relationships and what it meant to show and receive respect. You need to show every person respect, whether they deserve it or not. A lot of people here complain about the teachers too much, including myself. You need to realize how much they're sacrificing to work here and that they're not here for the money at all. They want to help form young, strong, intelligent, and independent individuals. This also includes your coaches. Shout out to Flood and Thompson. Love you guys. You need to respect everyone that you meet. Listen to your teachers, volunteer when they ask for some, and always hand in your assignments on time. When it comes to sports, always try your hardest, respect your teammates and opponents, and never play dirty. Remember that point, Quinn Walsh. I don't think he's even here, but Quinn Walsh. The way you treat others is an extension of how you view yourself. The way you treat others creates relationships, and in turn those relationships make or break your character. The truth is, any discipline that you form in your own habits is either made stronger by the people you surround yourself with, or it's destroyed. When I first started playing football, I would do everything I could to not play in the games. I'm not gonna lie, I was a wussy. I didn't want any part in hitting. I just wanted to look cool with my pads on in front of all the girls and flex on all the soccer guys. Starting freshman year, I played with a core group of 4 other guys that really loved the game. They put their hearts out on the field every drive, and I lived for that camaraderie. This is when I learned what it meant to have real friendships. Sophomore year, I was injured so I couldn't play, and junior year I came back. The summer between sophomore and junior year, I worked at the school with the same 4 guys that played football with me. Junior year rolls around, and football season starts up, and good gosh, our new coach is Mr. Flood. Coach Flood also happened to be my boss when I worked at the school over the summer, and every day he made me finish all of my tasks on time, and I'm not gonna lie, it was a ton of work. And after work, all the boys would go live together in the new weight room. During the football season, I saw my best friends on the field giving it their all every single play, and it inspired me to change from a soft kid to someone who would hit for the guy next to him, to put everything on the field for their team. Mr. Flood truly changed my life by challenging me every single day to try my hardest and give it all on the field, even if it meant literally taking 4 ice baths a day. Well, my point is get yourself a strong group of friends that have the same goals and work ethics that you would like to achieve, and build relationships with a mentor who will hold you accountable. For myself, it was my coaches. They will help you and change you whether or not you put effort into it. A lot of kids in high school would rather spend time with the boys, eating Doritos and playing video games, including myself. Not special. When I found a group of guys that strive to become something and leave some type of legacy behind them, we spent hours and days dedicated to bettering ourselves for the benefit of the whole team. Running routes on our own times, lifting and working together. I will never forget the summer spent working and complaining about the lack of air conditioning in the convent, leaving to go get Subway and coming back to live together with a core group of guys. It changed me for the better, and I wouldn't change it for anything. I started this process as an anxious kid who was too nervous to go out in public, or even barely out of his own bedroom. Then I became the kid that was driven by anger and hatred. Now I want to live my life for who and what I love. And those steps, all of those steps were necessary to find my drive. I don't know if you're ready or not to listen and act on what I said in this speech, but I stand before you and I hope this inspired one of you to start talking to the right group of friends, to better yourself, and to set a great example for the younger kids. If you take anything from this little ramble, you need to understand that you need to grow every single day as a strong individual. You need to take the circumstances that you are given and turn them into something good. High school is 4 short years where you find out what type of person you're going to be, a leader and a respectable person, or an irresponsible and unmotivated kid. Find yourself and find your drive.